Welcome to Stuff You Missed in Biology class. I'm Quentin Turner and I'll be walking you guys through a topic that many people don't know much about, which is the Great American Interchange, or sometimes referred to as the Great Biotic Interchange. And these are used fairly commonly or both refer to the same series of events. Before we start, we'll be looking at these in a general light for the first few minutes of the podcast and then moving more in depth as we go along to make sure that everyone follows the major points. Prior to the Great Biotic Interchange, two very distinct sets of flora and fauna existed in both North and South America, and this was largely due to these continents having been in contact with other continents, since North America had been connected to Asia prior to the Great Biotic Interchange, and South America was connected to Antarctica as well as Australia. The North American group is commonly referred to as the Nearctic species, while the South American species is generally referred to as the Neotropic. This unique tectonic past, as well as a wide variety of niches and ecosystems, gave both a unique biodiversity compared to the other. But these populations were separated by the Panamanian Seaway, that is the aquatic barrier between both North and South America, but this disappeared 2.7 to 3.1 million years ago, and the Panamanian land bridge was formed connecting North and South America. This had a profound impact on the future of both continents, as their environments and populations could now migrate across the land bridge. These species included various species of birds, ungulates such as tapir, deer, and horses, gomphotheres, which are large elephant-like creatures, ground sloths, large cats, bears, numerous species of rodents, terror birds, capybaras, insects, and many other species of plants and animals. These animals only represented about 11% of the North American taxa and about 2% of the South American taxa. But initially the migrations of these animal groups northward and southward were symmetrical. But the relative successes of these Nearctic and Neotropic groups were very different. The North America taxa would diversify and thrive in South America to capture almost half of present-day genetic diversity in South America. What caused this overwhelming success of the northern species, the Nearctic, in South America, but not the success of the southern species, the Neotropic, in North America? This means that North America has experienced previous biotic interchanges, mainly with Europe and Asia, that have exposed these species to various invasive competition, as well as introducing strong competitive invasive species to the North American continent. This may have made them more fit to survive the Great Biotic Interchange as opposed to South America, which was more biologically isolated in the past. Island biotas and the grassland biotas of South America, Australia, and parts of western North America contain species that are highly susceptible to herbivory, predation, and disease resulting from the introduction of continental species, especially warm-blooded birds and mammals. North America as a whole has a much more diverse and broad range of environments that supported the evolution of generalists and specialists that were better suited for survival in South America than vice versa. The South American continent also lacked large carnivores, which allowed many marsupials, ungulates, and rodents to flourish. But this niche space was going to be occupied by many large carnivores from the north, such as bears. Bird species were uniquely affected by the Great Biotic Interchange, and this is a topic of a paper by Jason Werr out of the University of British Columbia. In his paper, they genetically sampled several bird species on both sides of the Panamanian Isthmus with the goal of tracing back these species to when they colonized the different areas to see if the birds' ability to fly allowed them to cross earlier than the land mammals. And what they found is very interesting. This study concludes that despite having the ability to fly, interchange of tropical forest specialized birds did not happen until the land bridge was completed. But habitat generalists, such as blackbirds, were less dependent on the land route. Now, why is this important? This helps biologists better understand the dynamic nature of species interchange, as well as better classifying the Great Biotic Interchange as a general biogeographic event that affects many various species in various ways. A report in Science magazine documents how the Isthmus of Panama affects the marine realm in a study by Dr. Jeremy Jackson from the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. He studies strombonids on both sides of the Isthmus of Panama to determine species diversity and turnover in oceans and the timing and effects of isolation on these faunas by the emerging isthmus. His study concluded that the stratigraphic and biogeographic factors, including shoaling and changes in oceanic circulation, occurred at various points along the Panamanian Seaway around 2 million years before the first emergence of the isthmus, and that deep sea species were affected first, which is what we would expect to happen. He also concluded that the isthmus drove the isolation and diversification of these marine mollusks, and that we cannot always predict the exact outcome of changes in biotic and abiotic factors on an ecosystem due to its dynamic nature. To conclude our podcast, the Great Biotic Interchange between North and South America occurred approximately 3 million years ago and ushered in a great restructuring in both continents' ecosystems, but mainly affected South America due to a variety of factors including previous interchanges and better ability to survive in the niches present in South America. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening to the podcast.